Hello everyone. Today I got the Ford in the garage. We're gonna go through this and try to figure out why it doesn't want to run. I left it in the last video. It was parked out in the field and I went out there to get it to pull it in here and I couldn't get it to start. It would sputter a little bit, but I tried for probably 15 minutes to get it to start and it wouldn't start. So hopefully we didn't break it too bad, but there's just, I don't know, there's a chance that maybe the distributor is wrong. I know a lot of you were saying that there could be a problem with the distributor. I don't think it's the carburetor, just because I tried messing with the choke and it didn't seem to change anything. I tapped on it to make sure the float wasn't stuck. I don't think it's the carburetor. I think it is the distributor, the points, something like that. So we're gonna dig into it and see if we can figure it out. So the first thing we need to do is the distributor is right on the front of the engine here. So we need to get that cap off, get the coil off of there, and which I have replaced the coil because when I convert it to 12 volts, I had to put a 12 volt coil on there. I'm gonna get all that off so we can get to the points. I did notice after running this all day mowing that the distributor was completely clogged up with grass in all the vents, which is probably not a good thing, and I should have paid more attention to that, I guess, but I need to blow all that out because it's just still full of grass. So hopefully we didn't hurt the alternator at all. We got that wire off of there, and now there is a wire on the top of it that we have to take off, and it has a nut on there, so we gotta get this in there, loosen that up, and then take that off. There's an awful lot of oil on the front of this. I mean, I haven't changed the oil in a little bit on this tractor and it hasn't gone down at all, so I'm pretty sure we're probably fine on that front. But I was noticing on the bottom of this little contact here actually has some corrosion on it where it touches the distributor cap, and the distributor cap also has some corrosion on there, so that could just be the problem right there. I think I'm gonna pull the cap off, which the cap is new and this is new, but like I said, that was probably about 3 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago, because the first year I had this, it wasn't converted. I used it on 6 volt and I just left it exactly how I got it. After that winter of trying to start it with 6 volts, I decided that that wasn't gonna work anymore because it did not want to start in the winter on 6 volts. So I converted it the year after that. So it's been like this for 2 years and I haven't touched it. So could just need a little cleanup. Hopefully that's all it needs. I might just clean these points up and then put it back together and see if it'll start. Because if it starts just from that, then that would have been our problem. And I'm not able to get this nut off here. For some reason, the whole stud on there wants to spin. All right, I was able to get the coil off. I just held that with some pliers and got off of there. But this contact point on the bottom, it's probably not going to be able to focus on it very well, but there's actually a small pit in it right there. So I'm assuming this was probably arcing, and that's probably our problem right there. So I filed it down, cleaned it up, so there's no more corrosion on there. And I might actually put a little dielectric grease on there. Hopefully that'll help it a little bit. But I need to get the cap off of here now. I decided just to pull the cap off, but I think I'm just gonna pull it off all the way and we can look at it then. All right, got the cap off and the rotor. It actually looks like this contact was barely touching the edge of this. And so that could be our big problem. I actually think that is the problem right there. So I think what I need to do, I might actually bend this contact forward a little bit more, because then it'll make better contact with this, the cap. So I think that is all the problem that we're having. I don't know if this is right, but this rotor, it looks like it's actually igniting on here pretty late. And then the other problem I saw was this. I must have hit it with a stick or something. Something got shoved up through there and it damaged this port here. And then when I pulled the wire off, the end of the wire came off inside there. So now I got to figure out what to do about that. I probably should get a new cap. I'm going to try to just fix this myself and go from there. All right, so I filed this down, and I don't know if you can see this very well. It's probably not going to focus, but the whole end of this electrode here is actually eaten away, and I'm pretty sure that's the only spot where this was making contact. So I bent this a lot, and now when I set this on here, it makes way more contact with it. So I'm really hoping that that will fix the problem, because it doesn't really look like there's anything else that was the issue. The only other thing I could see was the distributor shaft actually has a little bit of play, which isn't good because it's pretty much always going to be changing the timing. But you can kind of hear there's quite a bit of rotation on there, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fix that unless I get a new distributor, and I'm not going to do that right now. We could look at the points, take this little cover off here, and then get back behind there. It actually all looks like brand new behind there. I probably should look and inspect the points on it, but at the same time, I feel like they're gonna be fine. I really feel like the points aren't the problem. I never actually replaced the points on this. I don't think I need to, honestly. I seriously think it's just this that's doing it. So I'm just gonna go for it and think this was the problem, and I'm gonna put it back together and see what happens. So I'll see you once I get back together. All right, I got it all put back together. Before I try to start, I wanna blow this out though. Let's give it a go. Turn the gas on. Should be good, yep. Hopefully it'll just fire it up. Give it a little choke, probably don't need a whole lot. Key on, clutch in. Nothing. I might need to try to give it some choke. Pull this more. Or nothing will happen. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting something. Yeah, we have no ignition at all now. So I made it worse, incredibly. All right, I tried bending that electrode a little bit more, that contact point. So let's see if anything happens now. Nope. All right, we have no spark. I pulled out the spark plug here and laid it on here, and it's not sparking at all. So there's definitely something wrong with the ignition, obviously. I mean, I kind of figured that, but I don't know whether I broke the coil now or, I mean, I definitely made it worse. So there's something that I did is made it worse. I'm a little concerned that that stud I may have broke on the coil because I spun it a little bit. I didn't spin it a whole lot, but enough to where if there was like a connection on the inside that it was like soldered to, it would have broke, and now the coil's bad, so. All right, so I decided to just take the whole distributor off, and so we can get a better look at it. It's actually pretty easy to take off, just 2 bolts. So now we can actually get a little better in-depth view of everything and possibly test the coil just on the workbench here. Yeah, we can see the points really nice. Points actually look new, so maybe these were replaced. I never have changed these, but it really needs to be cleaned up. It's really oily. It actually looks like this might be where the leak is coming from, is this gasket here. I think the best thing to do is maybe clean this up a little bit and then hook everything up here on the workbench and see if we can get it to work. All right, well, I had all this hooked up and I showed the camera that it was getting spark and stuff, but the camera wasn't recording, so sorry. We're gonna miss that. But I had this coil on here and I had it just like wired up right here, and I was getting spark. So we know the coil's good. I think the major problem is still these contact points right here. So put the distributor aside. Distributor works perfect, so I'm not worried about that. All right, let's try again. So I know the problem. That terminal on the top of the coil is bad. I must have broke it when I was trying to get the nut off, and I just spun it off. So I just took a wrench and spun it a little bit and tried again, and it worked. So that's definitely the problem. I don't think that was the original problem. I think the original problem was that contact point between the coil and the distributor cap, but I obviously got that fixed. It's just now that terminal is bad, which it's probably not going to keep working. There's a good chance that the connection is broken and it's just laying up against, like I spun it just enough for it to contact. So I'm probably going to have to get a new coil, but I'll just get one ordered. It's actually really easy to swap that out real quick. So I think that's the route we'll take, but let me get that spark plug back in because it doesn't actually, it started running on 3 cylinders because this spark plug's still just laying here. So I'm gonna get that back in and then we'll fire it up. All right, let's see how this runs. Actually, I don't even have the gas turned on, so I was running off residual gas in the carburetor, which my garage is all closed up right now, so I'm not gonna be able to let it run for very long. Let's see what happens. And that's what it was doing before. Maybe a fuel issue now. See, this is what it was doing before. It would sputter like that and it would just shut back off again. So we haven't actually fixed the problem, unless it's still that terminal, but I feel like it's just doing the same thing now. So now I'm going to take the carburetor off and we'll see what that looks like. All right, I've never taken this off, but it should be fairly simple. So I'm going to take that nut off, and this hose clamp and the fuel line. And that should be it, and it should come right off. All right, got the carburetor off. I did forget about the 2 linkages for the choke and throttle, but they come off extremely easy. They're spring loaded, so you just push them and they pop off. It's an amazing design, wonderful. Very easy to work on. So now I'm going to take it apart. It looks like it's actually extremely clean, and even the nuts that were on here were brand new. So I kind of feel like whoever I bought this from, like, went through this right before I bought it. So we'll take it apart and see what it looks like. I don't know what this thing is. Everything in here looks brand new. So I'm pretty sure this was rebuilt. Like, there's no corrosion. There's nothing in here that looks out of line. Even the bowl looks really clean. Like, there's nothing in the bowl need to have anything done with it. Like, I don't think this is the problem at all. There's nothing wrong with anything in here. I'm thinking that it was not actually ever, the float was ever sticking, because there's no sign of that happening. Those don't have any liquid in them. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I think this is more a problem of ignition, because it looks like all of this was replaced before I bought it. So I'm gonna put this back together, put it back on the tractor, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I figured out what is going on. I've been messing with the distributor and the coil and then trying to start it, and I found out that the rotor has enough play in it to where if I push it all the way one direction, it barely sputters, and then if I turn it all the way the other direction, it runs perfectly for like maybe 5 seconds, and then it starts sputtering again and then shuts off. So there's just enough play in that it doesn't want to keep running, and it moves enough. So I think I'm going to take the distributor back off and just move the timing in the correct direction, whichever that way needs to be, and then it should run better. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I think I finally figured it out. It was that timing just off enough that it wouldn't keep going. So what I did, I couldn't actually adjust the distributor anymore because the points on there were already slid all the way. So on the rotor, the little end of it, the electrode that actually sparks every time, was there. It's riveted on there, and it was like pivoted all the way in the wrong direction. So I just pivoted it the other direction. So it moved probably about 1/8 of an inch on the end. So it seems that that was just enough to get it to run right. So now if we fire it up, it should run right. Well, isn't that terrible? Or I'm just wrong. Well, that's embarrassing. So I just had it running perfectly. So I guess we're not done yet. That's crazy. It was just running perfectly. I don't know. Maybe it needed choked a little. I think it just needed choked. Hopefully it just needed choked. I had it choked the last time when I started it. Let's try to start it again and see. Yeah, I think it was just the choke. Well, I think that was it. It was actually really simple. I wish I didn't have to take everything apart 5 times, but at least I know the carburetor is extremely clean and doesn't need anything done to it. The ignition system is actually good. I probably need to replace that coil still because that terminal on top is bad. That was definitely one of the problems, but the distributor probably needs to be replaced because the teeth where it engages on the engine are worn down quite a bit, and that's probably why I'm having this problem. So I probably do need to replace the distributor at some point, but hopefully this will work for a while this way, at least through this winter. But I guess that's probably going to be all for this video. It is probably kind of long and a lot of short clips and stuff, but yeah, I guess that'll be it. I do have another little project that I picked up a couple days ago now. Take you out and show you that. So it's a little different, but I picked this 4Runner up. I only paid 400 bucks for it, but it needs, the front is damaged, which isn't really a big deal, but it needs the timing belt replaced. As you can see, the timing belt, it didn't break. What happened, the guy said that the water pump went bad and he was going to replace it, so he took it all apart, replaced the water pump, put it back together, and then the timing belt like fell off or skipped a tooth or something, which on these it's not a big deal because they're a non-interference engine. So he just tore it all apart again to see what was wrong and then just never put it back together. So hopefully I can put it back together and it'll work. I need to get a timing belt and stuff, but should be pretty good for 400 bucks. Yeah, I'm fine with that. So I'll probably do a video on that. I know it's a little different than what I normally do, but I enjoy that stuff too. Yeah, I probably should do an oil change on this while it's in the garage here. I haven't changed the oil on it in quite a while, but the one amazing thing about this is it does not use oil. Like the oil level has not gone down since I've changed this, and honestly, Haven't been the best about changing the oil in this. Probably been well over a year since the last time I changed this, so I really need to do it. And the hydraulic fluid, I definitely need to change. I changed it right when I got it 3 years ago. So that is probably something I definitely need to do. Actually, I was gonna look at the level on it. It's actually just below the full mark, but it really doesn't get too milky because I run it really hard. So when I got this, it was just really milky, like it was pure white. But since I use the PTO a lot and I use that mower and stuff, it keeps all the moisture out of there. So I don't tend to have a problem with it getting milky, but I really should change it. It still looks fine, but it should probably be done. Anyway, we're gonna end it there. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.